Hi everyone. Welcome to the Percussion Discussion by Gappu Cajones. I'm Charu Hariharan. I am a percussionist. I endorse Gappu Cajones, and I'm really happy to be here hosting the percussion discussion today. And we have a very special guest who will be participating with us. The amazingly talented, a person who is a torchbearer of a great lineage and son of a great master. Sri Anubrata Chatterjee will be joining us very soon. But before that, I'll just speak a little about Gappu. I am an artist endorsing Gappu for the last 2 years, and it's been a great journey. I use a lot of instruments by Gappu. Gappu has a lot of new instruments that it has launched over the last 1 year. It has varieties of cajones. It started with a couple of cajones or more, but now there is a wide variety of cajones. A lot of amazing artists, including Greg Ellis, have high opinions about the cajon. Recently, a new instrument was launched called the Tajobla, and it is launched by Vikram Ghoshji. And a lot of videos were released on the Gappu channel in the last few days. And they have hot rods, they have cajon sticks, they have bongos, they have amazing range of cajones, ranging from small ones to star cajones, which are, changeable cajones, in fact, self dismantleable or arrangeable cajones. And so many rain sticks is one of the most amazing instruments I've seen from Gappu. Pretty heavy and amazing sound, has a great bass. I personally use rain sticks a lot. I use the bongos. I also use standard B02 cajon. Amazing instruments that Gappu has. And this is also great that Gappu is initiating conversations and discussions with amazing percussionists all around India and also globally, in fact. We have had interactions with a lot of international artists through the channel, through Instagram Live. And it is my pleasure, my honor to be inviting the wonderful Anubrata ji today. So I'll slowly have him over the discussion now. And I'm really looking forward to the conversation. We had a little phone call just before, we were planning to do the live. I've not met him in person, but I've listened to a lot of his work. And of course, his father, Pandit Onindo Chatterjee. No one, I mean, he doesn't need an introduction at all. So I'm inviting Anubrata ji to join the conversation now.
Hello, Charlie.
Namaste.
Namaskar. How are you?
Namaste. Namaste. I am
Namaskar.
absolutely fine. Today is IPL as well, so maybe a few viewers are less, but I think all those people who have joined are percussionists
Uh-huh.
and drummers, and we have amazing people who are joining
Yeah, we
the
have
viewing.
actually. This is our World Cup of Percussion League. So this is parallel to whatever is going. I know we all, I mean, including me and a lot of people are watching India Pakistan. But I'm really
Yeah,
looking
yeah,
forward to
yeah.
this discussion with you. And thanks for inviting me. I would want to congratulate the whole Gappu team that they're doing so
Yeah.
well. And it's actually very recently I got to hear about Gappu and their amazing work. And
Oh,
I really
nice. Okay.
really congratulate the whole team for coming up with these instruments, which are, I guess, based out of cajon, but there are many variants and varieties, which is great.
Absolutely. Yeah, and very few Indian companies who are doing this work
Yeah,
actually, and coming up with such an amazing range of instruments, especially the wooden percussions, which is very rare to
absolutely.
see being manufactured in India. So
Yep,
it's absolutely amazing that they are doing something and
it
also
is. It
initiating
is.
such conversations. We are able to meet because of the session today. In fact, otherwise,
Absolutely,
it's the
absolutely.
first time I'm getting to know you and yeah, speak to you.
Same here. Thanks to the technology that we haven't actually met, but we are meeting
Yeah.
virtually and doing this discussion. Great.
Absolutely, absolutely, Ji. Well, you don't really need an introduction. I can see you everywhere in the playing. In the sense, you played with your father. You're playing as a solo artist. You have accompanied amazing artists. I mean, beginning with Pandit Hariprasad Chaurasia, which is a great launch in itself, right? Like the first concert you've had, if I
Absolutely.
am right. Yeah, you've had
Absolutely.
with, yeah,
I
and
mean,
also,
with Pandit Hariprasad Chaurasia, it was like a child artist launch, And
Yeah.
then I was very lucky to be, launched by Ustad Amjad Ali Khan Sahab when I was a
Oh,
youngster
wow.
and more into the professional stream of things. So I'm
Oh,
really,
wow.
really, what would I say, like really obliged and really thankful to these great Ustads who,
Yeah, legends,
gave me
like
the chance
each of them.
at a very young age to, get exposed to the thick of things.
Yeah, absolutely. So can we just start with your beginning? Because when you were like very, very young, you had the Gandbandh with, Pandit Nyan Prakash Ghosh, if I'm
Yeah,
right,
absolutely.
who's like, yeah, who's like a legend of the Farrukhabad Gharana, your father, and, and you are also a torchbearer of the same Gharana. Just share something about learning under such a great master
Yeah,
and
I
beginning
mean,
with such a great master.
sure. It basically happened, in our culture that it's always recommended and preferred that whenever there is the senior, the legendary guru alive,
Yeah.
so just for a little kid, you do the Ganda Bandhan ceremony more like a Ashirvad than actually learning. Because when I
Oh,
did
okay.
the Ganda Bandhan with Guru Gyan Prakash ji, I was too young to actually understand, what he is about. I'm still young. I still, have a long way to understand what he was about. I am
Mhm.
understanding, but that time it was more like because my father started learning from him at the age of 5 or
Mhm.
probably a couple of years younger, 3 or something. So,
Oh, okay.
when I was growing up as a kid, they wanted the blessing more than the actual talim. So, technically, I
Mm.
only got 2, 3 classes from him. And
Okay.
his level of talim was way above my head. I was just a kid. I had no idea.
Yeah.
But now when I play more and I'm into the things of music more, then I
Yeah.
miss him. I mean, I today I feel that if he was there and at this age, at a more senior age, I would
Yeah.
have probably been able to get a lot more out of him. But
Mhm.
nevertheless, I mean, Ashirwad blessing is a big thing, and that is, I think, it's one of the most important. So I'm really blessed to have had him do my Gandaban ceremony.
Yeah. Can you explain how the ceremony is? Because it's very different for us. We begin lessons in a very different way, and I don't know how exactly the ceremony is. In fact,
Yeah.
can you just
It's
throw a little
basically, I
light
mean, the
about the
whole
ceremony?
the point of Ganda Bandhan is the guru officially accepts you as his student, and
Okay.
Ganda Bandhan comes with responsibility. So
Mhm.
this I learned when my father did Ganda Bandhan to many of his students, including me. So
Ah,
it's
okay.
it's it's like the guru is more concerned about the Ganda Bandhan because the student becomes an official student of that guru, and whatever he
Okay.
does, plays good or bad or whatever the energy is, kind of the guru gets known of it.
Mm,
So,
mm, mm.
so the Ganda Bandhan is a ceremony where you have rice and certain there is a red band which is the dhaga, which is the thread which the
Okay.
guru does with some mantras,
Mhm.
and then the ritual is to give you a bowl, a composition, your first talim.
Okay.
And Guruji Gan, I call him Dadu. Dadu means grandfather.
Okay.
I used to call
Grandfather.
him. So he gave me a very tough composition. He actually wrote it with his own hand, and
Oh.
it's there. And it was tough for my father. For me, I could just read it, and that's about it. Today, when I try to play that composition, that is unplayable. So that's like one of the compositions or techniques that you keep it in the showcase, practice it, and maybe sometime when you are in your 50s or 60s, then you can bring out that weapon from your bag or something with vigorous practice and years of practice. But I mean,
That is
after
probably
the
where he
Ganda Bandhan,
wanted you to be placed in a few years. Maybe that's what he was looking up for you in the following
yeah,
years to
it,
come.
it, it was, I would again say it was more of Ashirwad. I mean, he knew I was very young, and I was not really that much interested into tabla. I mean, we find so many child prodigies, like they're so interested and their level of playing whatever instrument is
Yeah.
much more. For me, it happened very gradually. So happened very gradually. So coming back to the Ganda Vandan, after the Ganda Vandan thing, I went for a couple more talims. I was very notorious, and especially a elderly guru gentleman like him. My parents were really embarrassed that this kid shouldn't be doing anything that he shouldn't be doing. So then Guruji fell a little ill, and then he advised my father that, I have given you, he said, I have given you all my talim. So instead of me guiding him regularly, why don't you guide him regularly? And
Oh,
I'll be there to guide. And then eventually he fell ill and he left us in 97. So
oh,
I
okay.
was not fortunate to get that regular talim from him. That was very unfortunate, but fortunate enough to be the Gandaband, one of the Gandaband disciples of him.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
that's
how
that's
was
the
it
short
carrying
answer.
it? Yeah, sorry. There's a
No, no,
little
please, please.
latency, so I might be interrupting your conversation.
No problems. Tell me. Yeah,
Yeah.
you
How
you
was
you are
it
asking me something.
continuing? Yeah. How was it continuing with your father? Again, a great master we all look up to. And how is your interaction been as a student and as a son? Because
Well,
it's very difficult sometimes that, it happened in my house. In fact, my mother is a singer, but not, all the time I just sit with her to sit and learn music. But I hear a lot, much more than sitting with her to learn. How was your experience learning from your father? Was it a very hard, tutoring, mentoring, or was it very relaxed?
well, the thing with him is, I mean, before the guru, he's a very, very loving father. So, in my whole life till this age, he only beat me twice. So that's the kind of
Okay.
father he is. So I never had that serious relationship of guru shishya, like father, but he's the guru and he's serious, and there was never a timetable where
Hmm.
I would come and sit with him and he would exchange his tali and show me technique. So it was more like certain times he would just call me and he would give me inputs. But
Hmm.
what really affected was when I started playing with him as a kid. Actually, there is one fun instance that I want to share. So I didn't have much interest in tabla as a kid. So my
Okay.
mom thought, okay, this guy is going out of hand. So how do we get him to practice or kind of, get him into music? So she came up with the plan that she told my father, whenever you have a tabla solo concert all over the world, all over India, you take him along, he will play with you. And that will probably, get him some interest that he will practice. And that worked. So
Wow.
so with my father, even at a before a very big event, he wouldn't give me that mentor or guru sort of a bhashan, a lecture that this is what you should do, this is what you should not do, prepare. But then the moment he's on stage, he becomes a complete different person. So he
Mm,
becomes, he develops all these energies and he's performing. So then
yeah.
he could be the meanest person that you could ever see. If you're playing something wrong, if I play something wrong, which I always do, then he will make sure that you understand and the people understands. So that is
Oh, okay.
his way of expressing that, okay, I will not ask you to practice, but if you're not doing the job, then I'll make sure that people get to know. So out of that embarrassment, that fear, I started practicing. And during the concert, still today when we perform and I listen to videos and recordings, he
Yeah.
is always advising me something as I am playing. So I'm playing a
Oh.
composition and he's like, okay, make the baya a little soft. Okay, do this, do that. So he's instructing me. So
Mm,
that according to me is the fastest and the most effective form of talim, because it's like a tiger teaching his cub how to hunt right there, as the whole action is
yeah.
happening. So you learn much faster. And then
Yeah.
we analyze a lot after a concert. We analyze a lot. I'm very open to my father, so I can ask him all sort of questions, and he would give me the answer. So the answer in itself would have some sort of a talim in code word, and at times, in simple words. So then, he likes the talim that way. Otherwise, I never got a formal talim, so to say, with a certain time where he's sitting with tabla and you sit as a serious student. I never developed that.
Wow.
That's how the talim has happened, and it still is like that. With the lockdown, I was mostly in Calcutta, so as musicians, we all never get this time where you are waking up at a time, you're sleeping at a time, you don't have to catch flights, and there is no schedule as such. So
Yeah.
this for the last 1.5 years, I got a lot of talim, some formal talims, long discussion sessions with him, long practice sessions with him, certain things that he wants me to correct. So that's how it is.
Yeah.
And he
So
doesn't
it's, I mean, the
have
corona has
one
been,
specific. What's that?
no, I just meant to say the
Yeah.
corona was such a blessing in disguise for a lot of things, in fact.
Well,
Not to
yeah, but
interrupt,
I
but
mean,
yeah.
it was more, yeah, it shouldn't have happened, but I
True.
mean, the thing is, yeah, I gained a lot of time with my parents because, when you're outstation, you're in a different city, you don't get to spend so much time with your parents.
True
So,
that.
so that's the thing. And I mean, at this age and day, you have to be very lucky if you still have your guru, a living guru, a practicing guru who's there, who's still in business, he's performing. So that helps. It's like a lot
Yeah.
of practical talim, practical information, so to speak.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, and also not that you're getting to watch, as you earlier said, you're getting to play, you're getting to learn on the same stage. You're going back to home with the same guru. You're able to
Yeah,
interact, you're able to apply. It's like
exactly.
24/7 you are being with the guru, which
It's
is
it's a 24/7
tremendous.
thing. Exactly. We have a
Yeah.
ritual of listening to classical music every night from around 12:30 to 2 a.m.
Okay.
So, it would be his playlist. He would request me, okay, you should play Ustad Habibuddin Khan Sahab. He was a great tabla legend, one of the Khalifas of Ajrada Gharana.
Okay.
So we would pick up certain recordings, and then as the recording is being played, he is analyzing, and he's telling me what he's trying to do and what is his thought process. And those things actually, develop you much faster than a formal talim. That's the thing.
Okay.
So then you go back,
Interesting.
you can't sleep, you're thinking, okay, what is this? And next morning you're applying that. And by the time it's about noon, he wakes up late, so he'll have his breakfast and he's done with his thing, he will come. And then he will check, okay, whatever the information was given last night, what is the progress? And he'll tell you little
Okay.
inputs. Yeah, and the amazing thing with my father is he doesn't have a preset way of giving talim. So every
Okay.
student has a different sort of talim from him. He's very customized talim. So he'll know the kind of student, the kind of talent the person has, what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses, and his way of exchanging information will be based on that. So that
Oh,
is that is what benefited a lot of his students and including me. So he he
wow.
he gauges each student exactly how they are.
Lovely. Yeah, very interesting to know how the tutoring process differs from,
It is.
master to master. Uh,
Uh-huh.
this is the first time probably I'm listening to how, your father is as a guru. I've never known in close contact like how you said now. Very, very, very interesting
He's a
to
very
know that.
chilled person. That's the thing. He has always been chilled, and as he's aging, he's getting more chilled as things. But on stage, if you are making a fumble, then he'll make sure that people get to know. He'll play the same thing. He has various ways to, show you that get back to work and this is not happening and this should be done properly. You're not practicing enough, or, by stuff like that.
Oh, okay. Just like how a guru should be, in fact. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, in terms of guru, I mean, I was very lucky when I had a wish to attend the workshop of Ustad Zakir Hussain ji back in 2015 in San Francisco
Okay.
area, and when I told him, he said, "Oh, absolutely great! You should go to Zakir Bhai." He calls him Zakir Bhai, and you
Okay.
should go and you should learn. So, I mean, for a legend like him,
Yeah.
representing such a big gharana and this and that, to ask his own son to go listen, take talim from another great person is something very rare. So these things actually, these things that helped me to develop more, because
Wow.
it's actually your guru who decides how much open space he would give in the head of his student, how much can you evolve,
Yeah.
what can you listen and what can you not listen. So all these
Mm.
things are there. So he's one of these chill, like whatever you like, if something is good, please go and please play that, please listen to that, and please acknowledge that.
Wow.
So I think that has helped me big time, just because of his openness.
Which in fact directly brings me to the next question. In the sense, not question, but it's an interaction, but you led to the point
Sure.
that I always wanted to focus. Uh, you are there everywhere. Like just as I said, you play with your father, you play solos, you play with other amazing tabla artists. Shubh Maharaj.
Absolutely.
I've seen with also Pandit Kumar Bose. But
Well,
you
well,
also,
my father has played with him. Yeah. The fun thing, as a
okay,
tabla player, you get to play with a lot of people. That's one of the things. That's why you have more scope to evolve as an artist. Any tabla player, you have an
yeah.
opportunity to play with various forms of music.
Hmm.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sorry I interrupted your question.
No, no problem. No, you're just adding a point to it. And also, I see you in the like a fusion circle. There are experiments that you do with other artists. Very interesting combinations and collaborations that you work on. So, how do you see each of them? Like doing experiments, doing something extremely traditional. Do they differ in skills? Do they add new layers of experience? And how do you look up to them, being in all these spaces?
See, I look up to experiments like anything. Those are the most important things. It's actually the
Mm.
experiments in the yesteryears, in the past, that has, developed this form of classical music, which we call pure classical music, pure Indian classical
Yeah,
music. You say north or you say south, it's because we have experimented,
yeah,
for so many years. So my father always says, if you don't experiment, you become stagnant. So for
mm.
a tabla player, especially for a tabla player, the more you get exposed to various forms of music, it is
Hmm.
much, much, much better for you to, develop the skills.
Okay.
So, I mean, most of my experience on fusion came when I moved to Bombay in
Yeah,
2014, and
yeah. You
I
currently
was
reside in Bombay as well, right?
yeah, I
Yeah.
do. And I was exposed to the great Ranjit Barrett ji, and then
Wow.
my very good friend Gino is there, and Louis ji is there, and Shankar ji is there, Shankar Mahadevan ji, and I mean
Yeah,
Taufik ji is there, and whatnot. I mean Trilok ji is there, everyone.
yeah,
So Mumbai is like a melting pot of various forms of music. So if you're there, I
yeah,
mean, with me, when I went there, I was listening, I was jamming in. So you automatically hear so many other forms of music. And more than you experimenting, they actually know your thing sometimes more than you know. Like when I play with a drummer, like when I was doing a piece with Gino, we have a very nice piece which is on YouTube with Gino. So Gino
okay,
has so much information about the North Indian rhythm. So
okay,
you get inspired by that fact. This person who's from the Western, drum is a Western thing, but then
yeah,
you have the knowledge, you have the temperament. So as tabla players, as percussionists, we also get inspired to develop that thing. You meet so many people, evolving people from Goa, percussionists, amazing percussionists from Goa. People come from America, all over the world. So it's like a melting pot. So I would say Mumbai teaches you a lot, and it also gives you a version of what is good and what is not good, because so many things are happening, and it's very hard to play the same thing yet make an impact for long years. You have to evolve. And before that, my father was always open to fusion. He may not have done various albums or various works in the world of fusion, but he was always open to that. And one of my taleens from young age was, you have to play with various forms of things, and
Wow.
every form of music, every form of percussion has its uniqueness. And the thing is, what my instrument's uniqueness is, that is something that I know. But
Yeah.
once with a clear mind, if you get to know the nuances of another art form, it helps so much. It helps so much. I was so lucky to be playing with the South Indian greats. I played so much with Kumresh ji and Shashank Bhai and Rajesh Vaidya
Wow.
ji, and amazing
Yeah.
mridangam players, amazing maestros. So if you're on stage, you learn. As you're playing, you learn, and then if you're keen, then you can learn deep.
Yeah.
Even today, when I meet Sridhar Patsarathi ji, who's a
Wow.
fantastic
What
little
an
maestro
artist.
from
Yeah.
Mumbai. So there are only two things we do. He tells me all the funny jokes, and then a few korvais and few stuff. So when
Yeah.
I go back home, I have some new information to work with. So I
Yeah.
think the culture, people around you, a group of amazing musicians, senior people, people of your age, younger, a group collectively brings up a form of music.
Wow.
So that is fusion, and it's so important to do fusion and take things forward. I mean, even if you personally cannot take a certain thing forward, you never know. Someone else can use that information and take things forward.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's not going to change.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Interesting. um, now, when you look at yourself as a player and when you look at your father, what is that thing that you think has evolved out of your own maybe experience or playing with different artists? Is it a perspective? Is it a certain way of playing? Or could you very clearly see that I've imbibed these things from another art form or another school of percussion, or maybe just like little examples that can help us know what the sort of reflection is like.
See, though I belong to Farrukhabad Gharana, but with my father, for people who know him, he
Yeah.
represents all sort of gharanas. So he doesn't have a
Yeah.
specific, gharana to play. So he's going to play with various things. So when you learn from him, you get talim from various gharanas. So I never learnt a composition based on the gharana. I learned the composition first. And then when I developed
Okay.
the composition or a style, then he said, okay, this is actually from Ajrada Gharana. This Ustad used to play this. So I got the gharana information later. First, I got the
Okay.
composition. So then, when I see now in my whatever solo, it's there are many aspects, many gharanas because
Okay.
of my father. And I mean, the thing is, he would always inspire you to play various things, various schools, and it's very easy to have play different from him, because no one can play like him. So that it's very difficult. But he always told me that, if you be the best version of Anindo Chatterjee, still the original has its value.
Wow.
And as humans, we all crave for the original thing, right? We
Yeah.
all crave for the original thing. So he always told me that, if you cannot put your personality into your music, of course you learn the roots of it, which is common. Everyone is learning the same thing. But the major change is when you can put your own personality, your own thought process into your
Yeah.
music. So it automatically becomes your own style. That's the thing. but I mean, developing our own style in tabla is close to impossible. I mean, we all are trying, and tabla has been played so amazingly in the past, and so much has been done that you never satisfied. There's something that you cannot imbibe, and as we speak, I mean, this generation, the younger generation, our senior generation, everywhere tabla is like at its peak. So
Absolutely.
so
Absolutely.
you develop, you hear a lot of people, you hear your contemporaries, you hear your juniors, you hear your seniors, and then the legends
Yeah.
who are not more. So with all this information, you actually need that to perform, in the mainstream circle, because with a certain kind of school of thought of tabla, you cannot accompany people.
Yeah.
And then you're if you're representing a gharana, a certain school, when you're playing with someone, when you're accompanying someone, then it sometimes, most of the times, it doesn't go along, so you have to go with the flow. For that, the
Yeah.
best thing that he suggested me and I follow is to just use your own ear, your own information, just try to put it into your music. And it takes a lot of time. Sometimes it doesn't happen, but if it happens, then you become one of a kind, and not someone who's already there, a legend. Because you cannot, I mean, you cannot become there cannot become a second Sachin Tendulkar, or a Lata Mangeshkar. These are like
Yeah.
one and only, so you can just become one unique person. So I think
Yeah.
personality, your music, whatever attracts you, your experience makes whatever style you develop into.
Wow. Interesting. Um, which which again brings me to a wonderful project that you have, the Layakari. The Layakari. If
The
I have to spell
letter,
it
yeah.
right, I don't know. The Layakari.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's
Which
a fun name, yeah.
it's actually a marriage of different cultures, different lineages, and all belonging to amazing, like family of masters. Like you have Shikhar, you have Swaminathan, you have Ishani De,
Absolutely.
but yeah, and I
I
think
have I,
a
I
dancer
have
as
I
well,
have
right?
dance in it. I have dance in it,
Yeah.
and then I have vocal. So it actually developed in Bombay. One
Okay.
of one of your I think colleagues, Aditya Prabhu.
Oh yeah, yeah. You
Aditya
played in
Bhai
Damru, if I am right,
was
in
doing a lot of
2015, right?
events back then, and
Yeah.
he came up. I had the project we were discussing, and then he was doing his Damru. So we got
Yeah.
one of the major opportunities to play in Pune, Damru, in the presence of Viku ji and Tawfiq ji, Ranjit ji.
Wow.
My father was there, and all the greats. Happened. I mean, the whole summary of Lekari is basically percussion of three formats. Swaminathan from the south, myself representing the tabla, and then Shikhar, who is, you can say, African instrument, but he
Yeah.
plays in his unique style of his father.
Absolutely.
So those things were giving three perspectives of rhythm. And then back then I had an idea of dance, so I included dancer in it. And then it became good. And then there was Ishani was playing guitar, and she
Yeah.
was very young back then, and she was terrific. So it developed into something. And then now when I see Lakari, it's something else in my mind. I want more music to it, more vocal to it, and make it a song oriented thing with percussion.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, song oriented thing. I mean, the focus was not to have people with lineage when I developed it, but it's just that the friends that I had, that I wanted to
Exactly.
work,
Yeah.
they happen to be representing great lineages. But Lakari is a pretty open sort of thing.
Okay.
And there is something else called beats and pieces, which I developed later,
Yeah.
which basically is playing pure classical music in a shorter format.
Yeah. I saw it like T20. It was
T20,
somewhere I
exactly.
saw.
So,
Yeah.
so I think when the 2016 T20 World Cup happened, And I just heard that there was the viewership has increased. And then my father said one of the things that the great legends in the past have done is they have developed new audiences. And those audiences who were in their 20s, in their 30s, college, school, they are actually the people who are old. They come to your shows, they listen to you, and they appreciate the support. So unless you
Yeah.
are not developing new audience, unless you're not inspiring new audience, you wouldn't have that audience when you become old, or you were aging, or when the next generation. Are we there? No,
Little glitch with my internet connection.
no problem.
I think I'm back. Is it? Can you hear me
Wonderful.
now?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you
Yeah.
now. So a lot of my friends said, "Okay, we love classical music. We love the way you play tabla, this and that, but we don't have the time so much to listen to a classical music concert for 2 hours. Itna time nahi hai, kaam rehta hai, this and all. But we really like it." That was one reason. The other reason was like every time I would tell a friend to attend a classical concert, they were like, "Haan, but we don't understand it." So
Yeah.
then I kept on telling them, actually, you don't need to understand it to actually come and appreciate.
I saw one of your articles, which was beautiful,
Yes,
about going to a movie theater, watching a movie. It is not that you
exactly.
understand cinematography or anything else, that you enjoy
Exactly,
a
but
movie.
you,
It's like
exactly.
you just get in and
Yeah,
enjoy the movie for whatever you
yeah,
experience from it, which was a
yeah.
great anomaly, like an example to compare, in fact.
I mean, Indian music has been, given so much. People have, gurus have scared people so much that, oh, classical music, you need to know this. So
Yeah,
much knowing, that young people who are, we all have very less attention span now compared to the years to
very true.
years. So we have so many things. There's social media, Facebook, Instagram, where we are right now. So it's hard for someone to like a layman to readily get into the purest form of classical music. So my thing is, you listen to beats and pieces. Okay, if you like it, good. Then you listen to little more, 45 minutes of music. Then if you're really a fan of it, then you come to the 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour show. It's like, then you see test cricket, or then you play test cricket. That's the ultimate form.
Wow.
But just to get
Like
the
a taste.
audience in, yeah, you have to package. I think, we all, I mean, it's not me, but actually even in the years to years, if you see the greats, they have
Yeah.
packaged pure classical music in the most beautiful way.
Like,
And
in fact, maybe, I
that
don't know
has
if I'm
developed the
comparing it in the
audience.
right.
That has developed, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, that
No,
has
I was just
developed
about.
audience.
Yeah, sorry, continue.
Yeah. So the coming back to beats and pieces, that was the whole idea of doing beats and pieces, where I can present my culture, my music in the purest form, but cutting down on the time, maybe dressing a little informal,
Yeah.
interacting, and every 10-15 minutes there is a new artist, new melody, new person. So it's just looks good in the eye.
Lovely. Enticing, in fact. I was just about to say another comparison, maybe how, Khayal Gaiki came out from a very formal space. So, to actually, it's a change. It's a change where it made it a little
Absolutely.
more
I
enjoyable,
mean,
or, connectable to people.
we all know that Khayal Gaiki, if I'm not wrong, came from Dhrupad. Dhrupad was the
Yeah.
original pure thing. So I am sure that the first Ustad who developed Khayal from Dhrupad was heavily criticized. And that
Yeah.
was fusion back then, I'm sure.
Exactly.
Or,
Yeah.
the format of tabla solo. So the format of tabla solo that we all follow is there, and it's pure, but then the actual concert recording reference that we have is only about, say, from 1910. So you never know how tabla used to be played in the 1800s or in the 1700s. It's all stories. So I feel it's always good to keep an open mind and think the other way around.
Yeah. Interesting. Um, I saw somewhere that Greg G
Oh
joined and
yeah,
he's
Greg
saying
is here.
hi
Good
to
morning
both
from
of you.
LA.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, hi, Greg. We miss you. I mean, the last time we hung out was in Goa. We had fun times. We
Oh,
played. We actually jammed, and he's such a lovely musician. He's like a big brother. Fantastic guy. We
absolutely,
miss him. I hope the
absolutely,
lockdown ends soon, and then we can have the amazing Greg G back in India, killing it.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. So many percussionists joining the
Yeah,
conversation and
absolutely,
probably,
absolutely.
yeah.
Great.
And I was just about to ask on the current projects that you're working with, and any interesting piece of information you would want to share about them.
Yeah, right now I'm actually working on redeveloping the Lay Curry thing, trying to do a few singles, mainly melody-based thing, and trying to release a few tracks on Spotify and YouTube, because that's the trend. So
Yeah.
that's the trend that I hear, and I want to take both Lay Curry and beats and pieces in both online and offline form. So,
Okay.
releasing some music, I'm working on it, and then people may like, and then they'll come to the shows and they'll inquire stuff, and then your classical world is there. It's a never-ending thing, and
Yeah.
as you go into the depths, it's even more. And that's the
Absolutely.
thing. And looking, I mean, the lockdown was there, so now finally that the things are opening up, I'm really praying that we all get to lead our lives normally, how we do. We travel and perform, and
Yeah.
hang out with people, with other instrumentalists and percussionists, so that actually develops, so that will give new perspectives.
Yeah. Um, Again, I'm sorry if it's getting just one-sided about asking questions, because there's so much I'm interested about when
No,
I
no.
just went and
Tell me
listened to a
something
lot of
about
work.
you, about your experience. I mean, it's so amazing to see. The other day we were having a conversation. It's so amazing to see
Yeah.
such talented lady percussionists and other instruments in our country today, and playing at top standard. So tell me a little bit about how you developed and your experience on things, learning.
Um, I also come from a musical lineage, but my mother, my grandfather, all of them are singers, basically. But my mother has a very special ear for rhythm. She loves mridangam in a concert, and if she has the mridangam, the right artist that she can connect with, she just takes the concert to another level. So I was interested in rhythm in in my childhood. I started learning from my grandfather first, and then from my mother. But my parents noticed my interest in percussion. I used to tap on everything that I saw around. My dad used to tie together dustbins, like plastic waste bins,
Uh-huh.
trash cans
Uh-huh.
together, and I used to play on both
I
the
used to do
sides.
that too.
So, oh wow,
Yeah.
okay,
I used
interesting.
to have a blue and a red and a yellow dustbin that I would play. Those were like
Exactly
my
the
drums.
same.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a blue and green instead. That's the
Yeah.
only difference, I think.
I guess
So then
percussion is
back.
such that, yeah, any kid kind of develops into it.
Yeah, it's pretty natural, in fact. And teachers used to hold my hand saying, "Don't disturb the class, don't tap on the bench," and things like that. So when I was 10 years of age, I visited a concert in Chennai. It's like a chamber concert, which used to be held at a very legendary artist who is no more, called Musri sir. So his students were performing, and my master, my guru, Sri Mannakoil Balaji sir, was performing there. And I listened to the concert. My mother and my father, both of them, loved the concert and the accompaniment. They asked my guru if he would, take me as a student. He was working. He still is working in, RBI, and he said he's not teaching and he's fully into, performing concerts and being a professional. So he doesn't want to take any student. So my parents coerced him, told him that, we stay very close and we are in the neighborhood. So just try, see if she's picking up something. And if you're interested, take it forward. Otherwise, you just drop. Not a problem. We'll
Uh-huh.
find another guru.
Uh-huh.
It started off like that. And I'm still his student. He's like my father. I'm his first student and disciple. So he's absolutely a father figure to me. And that's the relationship. Just as we spoke, it has evolved over the years from a space of fear and respect, and really being afraid to speak to a guru, ask questions, because initially it's like literally being 100% trustful of what the guru leads you through, and following it 100%, not asking too many questions, because one important thing is to just follow not trying to question a lot of things, because once you imbibe the right things, and then you will have answers to the questions by yourself.
Correct.
Over the time and over the practice, over the experience, over viewing and being a part of the experience itself.
Yeah.
So beyond that point, the guru himself encourages you to ask questions. Okay, how are you noticing this artist, and what do you see the difference? What is the difference between this and that? So initially I was playing only mridangam, and he was very keen that I focused only on mridangam. But he also saw that I have interest on different percussion, so he did not stop me from doing any of that. So I started playing kanjira a little later. Then I had interest in Konnakol. I started playing other world percussions. So it started slowly growing, one by one. And he's been extremely supportive of me branching out a lot. And he enjoys fusion. He enjoys different, styles of music. I sometimes also play session. He has a very open mind. Very open mind. And if I compose something or make some composition and send it over to him, he would in fact sometimes get back and say, okay, let's collaborate on this, or I'll play and send it back. Or it's been like a friendship over the last few years. So the lessons exactly are like talims that you say. They are more pieces of wisdom that he shares of his own experience, rather than teaching me a composition just like that. Okay, take this korvai or take this mora. That is never the sort of conversation that happens over the year. It's like, okay, this is what I've gained from my experience. I'm just giving you this. See what you can do with this. So, which is extremely precious.
So important to have a guru. So important to have a guru in whatever form. It's like, you can read a book, but you can listen to YouTube videos, but you can't discuss with the book or the YouTube video. So just to discuss, you need the guru. That is so important. So in both our cases, which is great. I mean, without guru, you sometimes get lost and you can't come out of the things.
Absolutely.
It's just like that. So great.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Interesting. Yeah. And one thing I listened to was your solo on the baya, the one that led with the baya, and then you started accompanying on your. That was amazing. And I wanted to ask you about the technique of the baya, and also the tuning of the baya was so amazing. Like, how do you tune the baya? What is the pitch that you use to? Because in mridangam, what we do is the left is either tune to the pancham or the shadaj itself. That's the sort of the tuning. So that tone of the baya was amazing, and how you led the entire thing through the baya. I've seen Zakir ji do, but the one that you put was a very little snippet, but it had all the skills just, all together put into that 2.5-3 minutes of a solo piece. Just share a little about that idea and the thought behind your piece.
The tuning of baya is not usually given so much importance, but actually, if you can tune the baya to pancham or close to pancham or kharach, then the effect, it becomes really effective. But the composition that you're saying, it's actually a composition of a great Ustad, Ustad Karamatullah Khan Sahab, who hails from the Farrukhabad Gharana. He's no more. He's one of the Khalifas. And I learned that composition from my father. But just like, certain students develop certain strengths, you have certain muscles which are better than other people. So this thing, the baya movement I developed pretty easier. I didn't really practice a lot, but the idea kind of stuck to me. And then I used to play it in the traditional way. But then as I was exposed to other form of music and this and that, then I thought, okay, why can't this be like in the format of a song, where you start, it doesn't look so traditional. So the baya happened and the tabla. It's a what is the term? I'm forgetting the term. It's a I'm not remembering the term. It's basically a you playing two fingers simultaneously, one baya, one tabla, one baya, one tabla, and it develops into a raw. A raw is like a groove.
Yeah.
And though it's purely traditional, but I try to play it in a little modern way, so that
it seemed like as if the left is interacting with the right. It's almost like a sat sangat between your left hand and your right hand. It's like conversation between the hands. Usually what happens is it's always a playing in unison, or the conversation is between your mind and your hands. But this was like two hands having a conversation with each
No,
other. It
that's true.
was
The
beautiful to
thing
see
with
that.
tabla is the left drum, because
Yeah.
in your head tabla is the main thing. So if you play something wrong on your right hand on your treble drum, you instantly know, or people who are listening to you instantly knows. But the baya, you can play it various ways. You can not play it, you can play it lightly, you can put extra force. So it
Yeah.
every time it gives a different feeling. So the consciousness of baya is very
Yeah.
important. Again, my father always told me that from a young age, that if you're conscious about your left drum, then it adds so much. It's actually the heart of your whole playing. So
Yeah.
baya developing is so important. If you see the greats, Ustad Zakir Hussain ji, I
Absolutely.
mean, it's the baya control that he has, even in the most simple things and the most complicated things, is out of the
Yeah.
world. With my father, with Shapanji Pandit Shapan Chaudhary,
Wow.
and even with the greats. I mean, if I start naming, then it will be a 2-hour show, because so many inspirations, so many people. But baya is
Yeah.
something that doesn't, can go out of your mind if you're not conscious.
Okay.
But tabla, if it goes, then you instantly know, because the whole structure is developed on tabla. Baya becomes a supporting thing. So thank you for the piece. I'll try to, do a better version of that next time.
Oh my goodness. I was awestruck by the one that you put. I'm waiting to see what more can happen with that, in fact.
I'm also thinking, I don't know, something might come out with the baya.
Wow. Yeah.
Great.
In Mridangam, what they usually say is, just as you said, a lot of intricate stuff happens on the right, but also on the left with the gumuki is what we call
Correct.
the modulation of the baya. And one of the makers whom I interact with, his name is Anthony Shauriyar, who makes mridangams of legends, happens to make my gurus and my instruments as well. So he always says, if something goes wrong with the right, as a player, you can fix it. But to get the left part of the mridangam or the toppi set in a particular shruti and to sound great is like a blessing. It's like your
It's like a
guru
blessing.
kadaksham or a blessing of your
Exactly.
guru. Because right, you have this, the tuning pegs do not apply to the left for us. The kind of skin that happens to the left is very different from the one on the right. So
Yeah.
he says, like, right, you can adjust or do anything to just fix your right, but left, you cannot do that. Is there something interesting about the baya like that you develop over the years, how to tune the baya, how to set it right for your own hands?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, if you have been taught the tuning process, I mean, for me, when I used to play okay tabla, I was playing tabla.
Yeah.
Still, I had issues tuning. So my father
Ah.
spent a lot of time for me to, teach. He taught me how to tune, especially tabla. But I mean, he always had the consciousness of tuning the baya, because it really adds. Otherwise, it's disbalanced. So if you tune it right, if you know how to use it, the modulation, then mridangam or the baya or any sort of the bass drum, it really
Yeah.
adds to it. It actually suddenly changes the energy.
Yeah.
Especially with tabla, with certain compositions, certain laggis, there is no change on the right hand. The right hand is constant. But with the baya,
Yeah.
you can modulate, and you can give it different forms in every
Absolutely.
hour. So baya becomes so important.
It's sort of the driving force after a point of, how you feel about a particular pattern is more
Yeah.
emulated by the left hand.
That's true. It's an acquired taste. You don't develop the right consciousness for Maya until you're mature to some level.
Yeah.
Because everything is taught keeping tabla as lead, as we learn. So the consciousness has to be there. It just adds the modulation, the pressure, the tone changes. Suddenly it changes. If you see all the greats, even in Mridangam, so many greats. Satish ji has developed so
Absolutely.
much, so much modernity, keeping the tradition in mind. And
Yeah.
whenever I play with him, so fortunate to have played with him so many times, just get to learn, and you actually learn from the fact that what he's listening to tabla, and he is
Absolutely. A lot of his left hand is influenced by
exactly, and he
tabla.
developed
Yeah.
something from the inspiration of tabla. And you
Yeah.
sitting on the other side, a tabla player, you see that transition happening, and then you
Yeah.
realize, oh wow, this is something I never thought. So everyone is a teacher actually. Everyone can be a
No
teacher.
doubt.
Eye opener.
Oh, no doubt at all. Okay, there are a couple of rapid fire questions that Gappu has given down to answer,
Okay,
if I may. Uh,
sure. Let's see if I can.
some of them do apply. Yeah. Uh, who is your biggest inspiration in making your own music? Like, for example, if Laikari or bits and pieces are like your own creations of how things have to be. It's your project. So
it's
any
it's very
composer
difficult,
or
if very difficult to say a name, but
yeah.
if I have to say one name, I would say RD Burman. So if you see SD Burman, he was
Wow.
he was great. He had a beautiful way of giving music, but RD came with a complete new thing. He had all
Yeah.
the good things of his father, but he
Yeah.
put something new. So that is one of the major inspirations that I have always had in my life, apart from so many tabla players that's always there. But just the idea how he developed something new, gave Bollywood something new. So he's actually one of the biggest inspirations in my life. How to keep yourself relevant in today's world.
Wow. Lovely, lovely. Any artist that you always wanted to always wanted to collaborate with and you did quite recently or in some part of your life? Like always looked up
I
to collaborating.
I always wanted to even give a theka with the great Bharat Ratna Pandit Ravi Shankar ji and Ustad Ali
Oh,
Akbar Khan sahab, but I was never fortunate to
okay.
get that chance. I had lunches and I had dinners, thanks to my lineage from my father many times, but that was my wish, and obviously it can't be fulfilled. Other than that, no, I mean, I want to work with a lot of people. I want to perform with Anushka Shankar. She is
Wow.
fantastic. I'm a big admirer. And so many artists all over the world. I want to play with Santana. But
Wow.
I think just for the virtue of my lineage, I have been lucky to log in with all the greats,
Yeah.
at least the first time, and later obviously they I would want to believe they took me I, for the fact that I was doing an okay job. So Ustad Amjad Ali Khan Saab is someone that I always dreamt of performing with. As a kid, you see him, he's like a sadhu, the way he presents himself,
Yeah.
comes on stage, performs everything. So it was my dream and it came true in the biggest way. Then I was lucky enough to accompany Pandit Hari Prasad ji in quite a few
Yeah.
occasions.
Okay.
So all these greats, I mean, more than accompanying them, if you're just in the same spectrum, like on the same stage, I think you just get blessed. You just get blessed and you get uplifted. So yeah,
Yeah.
so that is one of the things.
Yeah. And any memories from your first stage performance?
Oh yeah. First stage performance after I grew up was in a festival called Dovolen Music Performance, Dovolen Music
Yeah.
Conference with Ustad Amjad Ali Khan Sahab. He
Oh,
he took me. He didn't take me on stage. He did his alap, and he said, "Okay, after my alap, you stand by the wings. I will call you." So he literally introduced me, like how in today's day a great director introduces a new actor, and we
oh,
you see it's like that. I was very lucky. So he introduced me. When I came on stage, there was 4,000 people, so I
oh,
was
yeah.
shocked.
Yeah.
And then I tuned my tabla, and then he tuned his sarod, and in 5 minutes he asked me to play. So that was a huge experience where you have a gallery filled of people. They're also wondering who's this kid, how will he
Mm.
be able to play, and you're playing with this great ustad. And suddenly, when you hear, when you end the tihai, and when people start clapping, and from a distance, it's like you hear from the last row, and then it comes till the front row, and you feel so much thrilled, and you know that this is what I want to do in life.
Yeah.
So that experience, the first experience, was that. And then when I was performing at the Carnegie Hall, that was very, very fortunate and very great experience to, just be there on stage at the Kennedy Center.
Wow.
So these things really, you hear stories about greats, not only
Yeah.
classical music, but the Western greats have performed. And then if you were lucky enough to be able to play there, that's a great thing. So I really cherish these moments.
Wow. Wonderful. Anything that you want to share to people who are doing music, maybe percussionists like me, from your own experience of being in the lime, I wouldn't say the limelight, but being in the show for all these years as an artist. Anything from your own experience that you want to share as a message or from your
I think
experience?
I think learning the roots of whatever you're learning, cajon,
Yeah.
Western, Indian percussion, sitar, sarod, anything, learning the roots is very important. But having learned the roots, to develop it into something which is at par with the culture, with the society that you're living in, is very important. I mean, for
Mm.
kids, it's hard to understand, but I mean, you develop, you practice, you develop the roots of it, and then when you're already playing good, there is this level where people are like, "Huh, he's playing good, he's fantastic. So what next?" So that what next is where your own uniqueness, your own style comes. So I think
Yeah.
listening to various forms of music and not thinking in your head that my form of music is the best form and nothing can be better is can really work in favor of you. It worked in favor of me.
Yeah.
And just being alert when you're performing with people who are either greats or come from a very different society, different culture. I was once performing with a lady from Reunion, from Mauritius, near Mauritius, Reunion
Hmm.
Island.
Reunion.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then their pattern of counting was totally different. They used to count something opposite. And
Okay.
I was hanging out with her, and then she told me that. And later I realized that we actually do that to come to the mukam. Mukam is like when a certain composition starts from a certain point. So,
Yeah.
so open mind is very important, and to listen to a lot of people, a lot of music these things are important. Otherwise, I think ultimately you should do the kind of music that really challenges you and excites you, and
Yeah.
try to do something new, not be in the comfort zone, because this whole thing of comfort zone is the times are changing very fast. So if you're in your comfort
Absolutely.
zone, that whole comfort thing will change and some other trend will come.
Yeah.
And I mean, I see the history. I'm a big fan of history. I have always seen the greats, my father or Zakir ji, they have always reinvented themselves every 2, 3, 5 years, 10 years, 7 years. You hear my father from the 80s, 82, then 86, this something different, then 90, something different, 96, something different. So every 4, 5 years, their whole game changes.
Mm.
So my father always tells me to check whether I am changing all the time. The change is very important to develop into something that you were not 4, 5 years ago. Otherwise,
No.
you just don't evolve and kind of lose it. Yeah, that's what I feel
Wow.
for youngsters. I mean, youngsters, in me included. I'm also, as I speak, I'm also one of them, giving myself advice.
Yeah. And as you share this experience, I also feel something that you don't feel pressurized being a part of the lineage, but you are extremely responsible being a part of the lineage, which are absolutely two different things. One
Yeah,
comes out of fear, and one comes out of sheer
yeah,
adventurous nature, or that excitement or curiosity of what to learn and how to carry it forward, which is so
absolutely,
beautiful to see, because
absolutely.
you can fall into either sides. It's a very narrow line to be pressurized by a lineage, but to be
Correct.
completely inspired and take it forward, being a part of a lineage, which also shows how open your father is as a guru and as a father
Absolutely. I mean,
himself.
it comes from there.
Yeah.
Greg just wrote it's very important to keep growing even on that level,
Yeah.
which is true. At every level, you have to grow.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, you have to. I mean, there's no other way. You
Yeah.
have to grow, and that's the only thing. And to have, I mean, the lineage is there. If you have the fear, it's important to have that fear at a certain age of your life.
Yeah.
But end of the day, tabla or music is not some like riyasat that you're the king and the king dies and the prince comes. It's not like that. The whole
Mm.
point of khalifa, someone who's the bloodline of the ustad, only comes to validation when you are doing the job. If you are performing well, then you are the representative of a gharana. If you are not, then it's not. So I think it is like that. And for me, I used to have the pressure. I still have the pressure to carry the lineage. But
Mm.
I mean, lineage has its power to carry itself. I am too weak of a person, or anyone like an individual person, to carry the whole lineage. And the problem is, at times you feel so important of yourself. Oh, I'm carrying the lineage.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I have to do. So that way you sometimes miss the trick. So for
Yeah.
me, I have learned the roots. I try to, you know, stay as much as traditional as possible. But I'm an individual. I am in a certain society. I have my group of friends. I have my certain liking. So it's the best to develop that thing into my music and really hope that the lineage also continues. If it's there in the back, in the roots, then it should do. For me, I still consider my strength is my roots, because I have learned from my father. I have practiced the traditional way, and that should be rather easy because you have performed that, you have done vigorous practice of that, you're always listening to that. But
Yeah.
say, just to get on stage with Greg and to jam with him, that is tough because you don't know that world so much. So that
Mm.
is more challenging. And if you can do that, then these things become easier,
Yeah.
I feel.
Wow, what a conversation. Now, thank you for that wonderful bit
It
of
was great. It was great. Thank
wonderful,
you.
chunk of your experience. It's like a condensed wisdom, in fact. It's so important to not have the burden. I really loved what you said about not being too important, because
Yeah.
it's like God. You don't need to be protector of a God or a religion.
Exactly.
It just carries forward
It's
itself.
just so much weight on your shoulders. Oh, you're representing the gharana. I'm not representing any gharana. I mean, there is
Yeah,
gharana is later. Tabla is a
exactly.
separate thing. Then gharana came later. And
Yeah,
if you are representing, then you will represent. It will tell. It will just show in your playing if it has to show.
yeah.
Putting extra effort is, if it comes natural, great. Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah. It's sort of losing yourself for something that you're chasing. It's more like
Yeah,
self-importance, much more than
exactly,
you're going with the
exactly.
flow. Very,
And
very true.
gharana is a
Very true.
huge thing. I mean, it's a huge thing. So many ustads have taken it forward. It's
Yeah.
it's gonna go forward. I remember that advertisement when we were kids. The I think the Doordarshan developed like one mashal. Kapil Dev used to run and then give it to PT Usha, and PT Usha used to run with it like
Okay.
like a mashal sort of thing. It was some sort of a commercial, like carrying
Okay.
the flag forward. So you're just a soldier carrying it. So you
Yeah.
just do your bit. But more than carrying the thing as it is, as the package, if you can add something to it, or if your experiences are such that at a certain age you develop something where you can add to it, I think that is more important. If you see all the
Mm.
greats, most greats, they have added so much to the gharana.
Yeah.
The Farukabad Gharana, greats have added, and then that becomes a part of the Gharana family. So
Mm.
it's important to add than carry the existing thing. I mean, both are important, but you should do both. That's what I feel.
Yeah. Wow. Wonderful, wonderful. I think we are nearing to the close. It's more than an hour. I really did not even
I
know
know,
that
I
it's
know.
been more than an hour.
Yeah.
And so happy because I've been following your work. I've seen your father perform with Debashish ji in Kolkata. I've had that wonderful opportunity and fortune to be there when he was receiving the award from India International Guitar
Yeah.
Festival. We spoke about that over phone the last
Yeah.
time,
You did.
and I was so like I performed the same night before his performance. I remember I was small and I made a lot of mistakes, and the biggest fear was, oh, someone like your father is sitting and looking at the concert, and what would run in his mind.
He's
But
probably
but
he's
actually,
probably the most chilled person. He's very chill. He'll
yeah,
probably say, "Oh,
for
nice spectacles. I like the spectacles." He'll point something which is not a part of your music. He's like that.
yeah. But I
But
had the
yeah, I
biggest
think I
fortune of
think the
seeking his
city
blessings that night.
Kolkata also changes. Kolkata also makes you a little more conscious because so much of music, pure music, has happened
Absolutely.
in the past. Just makes you a little
Yeah.
more conscious.
Yeah. And
Or places
like
like Chennai. When I had my beats and
what
pieces
would
in Chennai at Phoenix Mill, I was scared because Chennai is about purists and it's genuinely about pure music. So I
yeah.
had that thought, okay, will that be accepted or not? But I mean, luckily, people showed their love. But with
Well,
all
Chennai is
these,
open. They also really see what exactly you give. Kerala is the
yeah,
same when it comes to Carnatic music. We
hmm,
always feel that when you visit Kerala for concerts, for pure Carnatic music of what they give and how much they perform. Again, in terms of having a mix or blend of cultures, Chennai is an amazing place to see. What every artist gives, they are very keen
yeah,
to see, to watch, to hear all those little
absolutely.
metamorphosis that's been happening in one's playing or art form.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'm
many
s-
comments has actually happened. I'm sorry. I was just involved in the whole discussion. I didn't see, but thank you so much. Greg is here, and then a lot of
yeah.
tabla students, percussionists. I think I saw
I see
Deepesh.
Purbanji is also there. He
Purbanji
just
is there.
joined a couple.
Namaste to him.
Yeah,
He's one of the
namaste,
guys
namaste
that
ji.
I look forward. I always look up to. He's one of the musicians who has developed from, again, coming from a similar school, pure traditional, and
Yeah,
taking things, doing new experiments. So these people, Rakesh ji is there, Aman Ayan
yeah.
ji, there,
Wow.
Kaushiki ji is there, and Niladri ji is there, and like the names go on and on and on and
On
on.
and on and on.
But when you
Yeah,
see your seniors, your immediate seniors, your elder brothers, and not the uncles, your elder brothers and all, doing so much stuff, that also inspires you.
absolutely, absolutely.
That's
I
the
mean,
thing.
on this
So
occasion, when he's there, I would absolutely love to thank him. I visited Purbanji and Gayatri Chechi. I call
yeah,
her Chechi because
yeah.
we
I
hail
also
from
call it Chechi. Yeah.
Kerala. Yeah, so I visited their place once and we had a very short jam session with Megha. I'm sorry if my name
Megha,
is wrong,
Megha,
but
correct,
Megha. Yeah,
correct,
Megha, Purbenji and Gayatri, Chechi and all that. So
correct,
special
correct.
thanks to him for housing me for at least
Absolutely.
for those 2-3 hours. It was magical for me
Yeah. He
being at their place.
whenever I'm around him, in that whole thing with Gayatri Di and all Purbanda students, it's a nice vibe. It's
Yeah,
a fun vibe. The mood is
absolutely.
chilled, yet you do a lot of music and stuff. And
Yeah,
so is with all these great musicians who happen to be my elder brothers and sisters. You learn so much. I mean, that's the best thing when you have people who are not like your father's age but immediate, like 2, 3, 5, 7, 15 years senior. You get to speak to them, you learn so much. They have had the same journey that you are going
yeah.
through at this point, so it just enlightens you if you have the consciousness for it.
Mm. Completely, completely. Um, so I think we are nearing the close. It's almost like 10:15 now.
Wonderful. I
And
think we had a decent. I think we had a good session.
absolutely, my privilege.
Just
I'm so
mind is a
happy.
little bit on the cricket match because it's India Pakistan.
Yeah. I just saw the match a few minutes before joining, and yeah, India had a little hit, losing wickets in the first few
Ah,
overs itself. But yeah,
okay.
I think we'll join back and
Yeah,
see the match how it
I
is going.
think today when India wins, we'll play some nice Gappu Cajon to celebrate.
Absolutely. Have you played one yourself? Have you used any of
I
the
haven't played the Gappu Cajon. I was
Yeah.
presented with a cajon from a different brand, but
Hmm.
once I'm in Bombay, which is next week, from next week. So I'll be actually going. You guys have a crew there, right, in Mumbai?
Yeah. I mean,
Shambhit
Adi is the
there.
best person to.
Adi is
Yeah,
there.
Adi
So
is the best person to contact. Yeah.
I'm one of those guys who would want to just leave tabla and go and play different sort of cajon and get into the mood and try to develop something new. And which is the great thing is a lot of new things are happening in terms of making instrument also. Not only musicians are developing, but instrument makers are also developing.
Absolutely.
So I'm sure this this change which is happening will present us many great musicians in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. I'm sure.
Yeah. Absolutely. Great. So once you get to play the Gappu, share a picture or a little snippet that we'll get to listen to it also.
I'll do that. I'll tag the Gappu page, and
Yeah.
I think there is a lovely lucky draw sort of thing that is going on the Gappu page, and then I'm not really. I think you have to tag Gappu. And then if you're lucky, you get about what, flat 40% discount
40% off on the products. So I think they'll be announcing it, by a message or by a comment in the story soon, I guess. Looking forward to that. And thank you so much for sparing, your precious time, if I may say so.
My pleasure. Lovely interacting with you, and it's so amazing to have a lady percussionist speaking, making so much sense, and such amazing vibes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks to all my teachers, people who are like you, who have been looking up to, and I really hope we get to meet in person soon, maybe jam together, play something together. My honor it would be to, just as you said about Guru Bhais, I'll get a lot to learn from you. Yeah.
Same here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Namaste. Take care.
Yeah, and pranams to Anindo Datu.
Sure, and pranams to your Guruji.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.